Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, it's not just Steve, and welcome to New Life Live. Glad you're with us here today. You could be watching us on the YouTube channel and subscribing to that. But joining me, Chris Williams and Dr. Sheri Keffer. How you guys doing?
It's great to be here.
Good, really good to be with you, and good to be with all you listeners today. We love you.
Yeah. Friday today, February 11th, this is the beginning of our Intimacy in Marriage workshop. And on the 14th, of course, not too far away, that's Valentine's Day. Don't want you to forget. They've discovered that giving someone the gift of a shovel or an iron or a vacuum cleaner, these are not romantic gifts whatsoever. So be creative in what you're going to do. Decide to do something. And you know, one of the greatest gifts on Valentine's Day is when somebody says, I just want to spend time with you and me, and you listen to what they have to say. And maybe that's what it is. It doesn't take a lot of money to listen and just be with somebody. So I hope and pray. And here's the other thing. If you hate Valentine's Day because you've been hurt by a man, you know, we've got Restore coming up, that workshop, and today, I think, is the last day you could get the discount. But that'd be something to think about. If Valentine's Day isn't all that pleasant for you, maybe there's some work you could do at Restore. Also, I'll just say this, and then I'm going to go to a call right now. We have a book called Smart Love. It's our way of saying thank you for supporting New Life. And Drs. Dave and Dr. Jan Stoop wrote that book, and I think you'd really, really like it as we focus on love right now. But let's go to Jane, Alberta, Canada. She listens as the podcast is produced. Jane, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, Steve. And let me first off thank you so much for your ministry. We listen literally every single night. We go to sleep listening to your podcast.
Aww.
And we have it so much. We share so many different things that we share with others.
What a blessing to be boring enough to put you to sleep. You're a supporter too. You're a supporter, did you say? Yeah. Well, that's wonderful.
Yes,
thank you, because I guarantee you people are being helped because you support us. Well, what could we do to help you today? What's going on?
Okay. I have a son who is going through a separation. His wife has asked for a separation, and He has a genetic disability, physical disability that's just kind of come on, not when he was younger, but anyway, where he is has difficulty, increasing difficulty with his hand because there's a lot of things he can't do, and there's some other issues too. But anyway, she's asked for a separation, and my question is, now tonight, this is her first, that first thing that she's initiated. They're going to have a phone call. He's not living with her now, but but I have two questions. One is, what would your be advice for him going forward? Maybe some advice as far as what he, can say he has a really good attitude. He's very close to the Lord, and he wants to start with, forgiveness or whatever. Yeah. But the other question is what advice would you have for us as parents?
Yeah. Okay.
That you would have for us to support.
All right, got to go to a break. I'll cover every one of those things. We will. Right after this, you're listening to New Life Live. We're glad you are.
I've been struggling with a porn addiction for the last 20 years.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. They're just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
I'm 10 years out. It's really changed my whole life with my whole family.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop. Now the workshop is coming to Dallas March 5th to the 6th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
The tools that you guys gave me really has changed me essentially in every way. I'm just so much more of a man that God wanted me to be.
1-800-NEWLIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking to Jane, and Jane, I got a quick question from your knowledge, talking with your son here. What is his wife's biggest complaint? Why is she wanting this separate? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of things. One is his disability. The other thing was she has been going through depression, anxiety, and stuff, and he was having difficulty to know how to respond to those issues.
Okay.
And yeah.
So what does that
probably
mean?
the main one.
Was he yelling at her, or was what?
No.
No?
He would try to get her to talk about it, and she wouldn't. She's, or she just couldn't or wouldn't or whatever. And yeah, so no, there was no physical abuse, nothing like that.
Well, let me turn this over to Chris first, and then Sheri. Let me
Are
turn
there
this over to
kids,
them.
just before we go to Chris, are there any kids?
No, thankfully not. No.
Okay. And they've been married how long?
They've been married 13 years, though. They have been married 13 years. And like I say, she has almost become like a different person. She's been going through this depression, anxiety, and she's pretty much cut him totally off. Although tonight she's initiated a phone call, which, is a good thing. But, yeah, so any advice is very welcome.
Yeah, well, I think the first order of advice is for him, if he was on the phone here, is just for him to be as honest as possible. He may have a desire to convince her of herself or her own experience. That will not be helpful at all. What will be most helpful is for him to explain, here's my experience, here's what I'm struggling with, and here's what I want. And here's also what I'm willing to do. Like, I'm willing to learn more about depression and anxiety. I'm willing to support you in any way I possibly can, with the emphasis that I can. The second part, if she decides to continue down the road of separation and divorce, is that he's obviously going to need his own, as we had in a previous show, his own grief process and grief support. As mom, or your husband as well, as parents, what will be important is you're going to have your own feelings about this. That could be frustration, that could be anger, that could be betrayal. It could be a lot of different things. What you want to try not to do is to put your emotion on your son's experience. You want him to have the freedom to have his own experience with this. And so if he's going to be carrying a lot of his own stuff, and so he doesn't also need to be carrying you. Maybe it's your anger or betrayal in this as well.
Sheri, thoughts here?
Is he your only son, or do you have other kids?
Yeah, no, we have four boys, and
Is he the oldest?
He's the oldest.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. He actually now is living. We have, this is a genetic disability that affects people very differently. I have a son that's cognitively affected, and he's actually being the caretaker for this. And because he has such issues with his hands, my other son they're living here, he's his hands. It's a really cool thing to watch.
Wow.
If they work together. This is fairly recent. Like I say, this was just before Christmas this happened. And
How devastating.
Yeah.
How devastating for him to lose the use of his hands that
So
way.
sad. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an athlete. That was,
wow.
he was
Yeah.
an athlete. So,
How do
So,
we save this marriage, Sheri? What do you think's our best hope here?
well, I just would say for you to not minimize what your daughter-in-law is saying. Have you liked your daughter-in-law, or have you not liked your daughter-in-law?
No, we've had fairly good relationship. She wasn't coming for a long time. She hasn't really come around us a lot. You know.
That could be the
But,
depression.
yeah.
That could be the depression, right?
Yeah,
I
no,
would.
but no. Well, no, this is before, yeah, but no, yeah. We have
So-
a relationship, and we're very careful. Try to not to speak against her or anything.
So I would say,
especially,
don't minimize. Don't minimize anybody's pain. Don't minimize her pain, and don't minimize his pain.
Okay.
There's a lot going on here, right? For her, depression,
Yeah.
anxiety, maybe untreated brain issues. For him, the loss of his hands, just recent, an athlete. There's tremendous grief for both of them. Don't fix it. That would be the second thing I would say. Don't fix. And I would say don't jump to forgiveness. Sometimes forgiveness can be a fixing. Or forgiveness is like, okay, well, if we just forgive, then everybody's going to go back to being a happy family. Not that we don't, God's called us to forgive, but it's okay to put a pause on forgiving for the moment, to just let yourself feel and support and care until you figure out what's needed to do with your heart in light of letting it go, forgiving. I call them cheap sorries. I think when there's a lot of anxiety and the people are doing things that are hurtful to people, we tend to just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me?" And it's like, slow down. Don't do cheap forgiveness. Just listen, love, care, support. Be a good listener.
The other thing would be to, if at all possible, if she would be willing, is that you would let us find a counselor for them, and just to at least go to one session for a counselor to say, well, here's the situation. I see it. I feel what you're going through, and there might be a path here if you would just be patient. The other thing is if they can't travel to one of our workshops for marriage, that maybe they could do it online. We try to do one a year online if she would just slow down a little bit. I've seen.
What is that? Is it Intimacy in Marriage, the one that you have online, or?
Well, we don't have it online coming up in February, but we do have one later in the year online. And I would, given the level of difficulty here versus some of the impossible situations, I think we could really help them. And so that would be an encouragement for them. Hey, but I love it that they're going to be talking. And I would coach my son in this conversation they're about to have to listen 99% of the time. And to try to think of, when she expresses something, to think of things to say other than "I wasn't really like that" or anything defensive, but to try to think of things to say like, I hear you, or "Oh, that must be so painful. Is there anything else?" That kind of interest in her versus defense of himself is very healing to most relationships.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to send you a copy of How We Love. I hope that she would read it and he would read it, and they would find themselves there, and just sometimes seeing what's there, and that you have something in common with other people that struggle. It causes you to stop moving toward divorce and start moving toward healing. And I'm really, really glad that you called. I hope something that we've said here is going to help, because we need these marriages to stay. We need people staying in the marriage. Let's go to Pete. Pete's calling us all the way from Richardson, Texas, KWRD. Pete, how are you today?
I'm okay. I'm so glad that y'all are there to help us out.
Well, what's going on in your life today, Pete?
Well, the lady said for me just to blurt out the question and let
Just
y'all
blurt it
flesh
right
it
out. Okay.
My wife would like for her ex-husband to come live with us.
Why is that?
Well, I'm 64, he's 70, she's 55 or so, and he's in really bad health. He's on oxygen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting to the point where he's going to need somebody to take care of him. And she goes over there and does stuff for him already anyway, like working like a home health care worker, and that's why she wants him.
Do they have children together?
No, they didn't have any children.
Okay. And how do you feel about this desire of her even to go over there and help him? How does that feel to you?
Well, I have to say, I don't like it because that company she's working with, they have sent people over there in the past to do the housework and all that for him, but he's run them off. He says they don't do their job correctly.
Mm-hmm. And so now she's doing it versus
Right.
the people that could be doing it, okay?
Right.
All right. And
That
now
laughter was beautiful. Just so you know, this is Sheri. That your laughter was telling, because what Steve brought to you in a very, very honest and loving way was 100% pure truth.
Yep.
Of the manipulation that's happening right now.
I don't think she feels like she's manipulating me, but...
No, he's manipulating her.
He is manipulating her perfectly, and she's responding.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, you're right, and I think in turn she's manipulating me. You know, it's a stair-step thing there.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a hard time saying no or disappointing others?
Yeah, I do. I have to say.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I seriously am. I had to go into some recovery for this because I was a consummate fixer, rescuer. I would go into situations just like she's in right now in order to take care of somebody, because what the cookie is, what I got, is I felt needed. I felt needed. I felt loved. I felt, it was intoxicating to help somebody, and it was a feel-good thing for me. It wasn't healthy. It was very unbalanced. And right. So as a chronic fixer, when I began to work on my codependency issues, what I did? I learned an amazing word, and I use it quite a bit today. It's a softer word than no, but let me give it to you for the price of the ticket, just for calling in today. It sounds like this. Unfortunately. Unfortunately is no. Unfortunately, honey, I'm not comfortable with him coming to live here. Now, what do you think about saying that? Unfortunately, I'm not comfortable with having him coming to live here. What happens inside of you?
Oh, I don't know. I just feel really nervous and anxious.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
And
way to go.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that anxiety that comes up when you even think about saying that is why you say yes and then become resentful.
Right.
So what that is a manipulation. And so, Pete, there is a grand manipulation happening and only one that you can control, and it's the biggest manipulation. You are manipulating yourself. You're betraying yourself, right? And so you will sacrifice yourself in an attempt to have another person not be displeased or disappointed with you. that's going to leave you in a very insecure and anxious place in all of your relationships.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to get into a process where you can then reconcile with you what you need, what you desire, what you want in this relationship and in your life.
All right, so we're going to go to a break. I'd like you to get a pencil and a piece of paper. I'm going to give you some things to say to your wife in a loving way, and it'll start with unfortunately, and we'll give you some things and see if that could help you, and you can just, after we get off, you can refine them, and then you can just read them to her. We'll be back right after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back, and we're talking here with Pete, and wife's taking care of the ex, and he doesn't like the way he's been taken care of. So here's where I think you could go with her, and I've encouraged you to write some things down. Like Sheri says, It starts with, unfortunately, honey, I am not comfortable with him moving in with us. Second thing is, but here's what I'm willing to do. First of all, I'm willing to go over there with you and look at all of the things that need to be done to take care of him and get a really good picture of that. Secondly, I'm willing to call that company to tell them that up till now he's been dissatisfied, that we need them to send the best they have. And, honey, I'm willing to go with you and be with that person like the whole day and orient them and be sure everything is going to go well. I'm willing to be with you when you tell him that you're not going to be able to do this for him anymore, but that the two of us are going to come back once a week for a little visit, make sure everything is going well. And if it's not, I'm willing to talk with that management company that provides the home care again and ask them to send somebody that can do a better job. There are two things that are happening here. One is you're setting a boundary of this guy is not coming into our home. Secondly, you're going from a no to a willing yes. And then the third big, huge thing is you're getting out of what she's doing, and it's becoming a we, from she to we. And I suspect the old ex is not going to like you being involved one bit. Now, here's the key to this. I would not waver one bit. Your wife isn't even going to like this plan, probably.
She's not.
And you must stay firm with her, honey. I have talked with people. I've talked with a PhD. I've talked with a guy who acts like he has one. I mean, you just tell her, this is what we need to do for us to grow in our marriage, for him to get the help that he needs. What does that sound like to you?
That sounds like a great plan.
But there's a but coming. But
well, she's always used the excuse that when he gets bad, he'll have to go to a Medicaid facility because he can't afford anything anymore.
Yeah.
And she just thinks that's terrible. And it's not the best situation, but
You know what? It is terrible, and it is not the best situation, but it is not an excuse for you two to have your marriage destroyed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Now, if you need some more encouragement, you call us back when. But I really think this could free her and free you. And if there's any kind of guilt or whatever she has associated with whatever happened before, well, hey, let's get her some counseling and let's get that dealt with.
Yeah,
But I'm so glad you called.
I just sit here and I go, what happened on her watch? Did somebody die on her watch? Did she lose a parent? Did she lose a sibling? Like, this kind of pull, that kind of rescuing that goes to the point where it says, I can't let him go into full-time care.
Yeah.
When she's not married to him. There is something behind that pull, right? And that's the thing that we got to deal with. It's the what behind the why, the what behind why we're doing the thing that we're doing. And we got to figure out what that what is, because it can really hurt a lot of relationships, and in this case, Pete's marriage.
And then the what goes away, and there's not that draw anymore.
Yeah, true.
All right, let's go to, how about we talk with Richard now? He is a KKLA listener. Hi, Richard. How are you today?
Good. I just wanted to say I ordered some of the products from New Life today, and I'm looking forward to receiving them.
Great.
And I have been listening to the radio station here for a while, and I had a few questions so that way I can understand the thought process more.
Okay.
So I had a question about there's always a lot of questions, but the main question is about, from the Old Testament to the New Testament, the goal was to be saved and walk with God, sanctification, which he used other people to assist, right? Fellowship and other people's experience of their trials and their tribulations to speak wise counsel into our life. And then the New Testament is to be more like Jesus, to develop spiritual fruits. So my question about that is how do people heal traumas in the Bible? And then where is the thought process of adding EMDR, and how is that compatible with Christianity? If you can explain the thought process so that way I can learn of why is it that sanctification is not enough? Why is it that we need modern trauma therapies? And why did they not use that in the New Testament?
Okay.
Like Jesus, disciples, maybe you can clarify that.
You got it. So glad
Great
you're
question.
asking. These are very important questions, and we'll do that right after this. You're listening to New Life Live. If you need some help, it's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. This is the last day you can get the $200 discount on the Restore workshop. If somebody has hurt you, has a sexual integrity problem, that's for you. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful,
I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Southern California February 25th to the 27th. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of the Life Recovery Bible personal size, the 1-year Life Recovery Prayer Devotional, the New Life Journal, a New Life pen and highlighter, and a New Life zipper tote to hold it all. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with Richard, and he's asked a question that I think it's a prevalent question of why do we recommend stuff today that people weren't doing back in New Testament times? Why isn't just the process of sanctification where we have fellowship with others and we grow in the Lord? Why isn't that enough? Sheri, I'll just ask you to get started here on our response, because even though he's asking, I think a lot of people have this question, and some they have the question because they just want to know what the answer is, and others, they really are bothered by this. What do you have to say?
So, Richard, I love your question. The person that I think of first is the Apostle Paul, because I think in the New Testament, he was, the mind coach. He was the guy that was really doing many things, but one of the things he did is to really exhort us to do something. And it's in Philippians 4:8, and it says, finally, whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just and pure and lovely, and the things that are of good rapport, if there's any virtue and if there's any praise, think on these things. Now, let me just step one call back. I'm sure you were listening to Pete, and we were talking about Pete's wife and why Pete's wife wants to move her ex-husband into their home. And Pete is uncomfortable with that. Now, remember I said what is there? You got to look at the what behind the why. Why is she wanting to move her ex-husband in? He's having a problem with it. There is a negative belief that got wired in somewhere in Pete's wife's heart that sounds like this: I'm not in control. And when somebody she knows is out of control, she feels compelled to go and take care of him, even if it brings conflict into her marriage. Now, that's a negative belief. Trauma wires negative beliefs into our brain. It does that to protect us. It does that to remind us of things that we don't want to go through again. And what the Apostle Paul was doing is he was doing what's called, in the psychology world, we would call that cognitive behavioral therapy. That's the reframe, right? Mm-hmm. That was, the whole school of psychology. They take their principles, many of them from the Bible. They're trying to get people to think right and think well. But sometimes when trauma happens, it wires in this negative belief in really deep. And what the Apostle Paul is saying doesn't work. No matter how they try not to do the thing they don't want to do, they keep going back to it. And like the Bible talks about returning to our vomit, right? A lot of beliefs underlie bad behaviors. So why do I use EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing? Is because I'm doing the work of the Apostle Paul. I'm basically trying to get somebody to believe something that is true instead of letting a negative belief or a lie rule their life and hurt them and hurt other people. So that's kind of how I explain it in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. It's a tool. It's kind of combining biblical truth and science.
So my understanding is to keep every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. There's many pastors who say on the radio, the same station, the 99.5 I listen to, and I highly respect, is that they will, for example, they'll say the sanctification is you just have something for the same category. So if it's temptation or fear, you just replace it with trusting God, or you don't. So how is that different than? Are you saying that's related?
So what I'm saying, Richard, what happens if that doesn't work? Do we put more shame on a believer? Do we just heap more shame on them because they can't do what the Bible is saying? Or do we start looking for a root, a lie that somehow got wired in that's causing them to behave in a certain way?
Now, let me ask you this. Are you married? Are you married?
No, I'm single.
What? Okay.
Currently.
And how old are you?
I'm 29. So.
29. You said currently you're single. Were you ever married?
No, I'm currently single. I believe God has a wife one day for me, but I have a lot of spiritual things to work through, so I don't want to rush, and I just need to keep seeking God. He has me on a certain path right now.
Well, let me ask you this. What's one of the things that you think you will work through with God before you get married? What's a struggle that would make marriage
what I believe,
better?
There's actually, the main thing is forgiveness, anger, and control issues. Those are, I believe, He showed me, and I've been making improvements on that. And I also ordered 4 books or workbooks: Emotional Freedom Workbook, Take Your Life Back, and what was the other one? Take Your Life Back, and Healing is a Choice book and workbook.
Oh, that's so good.
I ordered that today. So.
That's fantastic.
Well, those are sanctification books.
Yeah.
And
so I wanted to know what's the difference between that and EMDR? Because EMDR I'm confused because I don't know much about it. Okay. It sounds different than sanctification. But
all right. So what trauma therapy does is it helps us with something that is literally lodged in our mind, our body, our spirit. It helps us to so integrate that the power of it is taken out. There's some resolution. They found a technique that could integrate it into the rest of us. And I had this done because I couldn't get over being triggered, knowing that there was a place where I had been betrayed by my spouse. And every time that place was mentioned, it caused pain in me, and this was years later. And so I just thought, well, you know what? I can continue like I'm doing, or I could go get the kind of help that Dr. Keffer had been talking about. And when I did, it really changed everything for me when it came to that. So it would be very much like Paul didn't have a dentist, but I'll bet you he sure would have been happy if they had one back then. And what they did was they pulled your tooth if it hurt. And what this did for me, it didn't pull a tooth, but it pulled a traumatic thing out of my brain and just got rid of it. And no amount of trying harder would have done that. Now, we sent you some books, and those books are going to help you. But let me tell you what would help you more. Sitting down with a person face to face and saying, I don't want to be married until I am so loving and accepting that I'm easy to be with. But there's something in my life that's really hard for me to forgive. And that lack of forgiveness is causing an anger and a bitterness to spew out over into other areas. Could you help me get through that? And I think a counselor would help you. And it would be a different kind of thing than, hey, have more faith. Memorize this scripture. Remember, the truth doesn't set you free. John 8:31-32 doesn't say the truth sets you free. It says, if you follow the teachings of Christ, you're really his disciples, and then you will know the truth. It's living the truth that sets us free. And if there's anything in my life that's keeping me from living the truth, rather than trying harder, how about I surrender that and I ask for help for that, and I say I'm willing to do whatever born-again, committed Christians who have studied psychology, counseling, sociology, the human mind, I'm willing to do what those faithful believers have been trained to do, just like I would listen to my physician tell me I'm going to do some surgery because you got to have this thing removed if you're going to go forward and be healthy. I don't know if that fully answers your question, but I know this: if you'll read those books, if you'll let us find someone to help you, if you'll join us for the emotional freedom workshop, that will help. But I know God is going to use this time right here for you. Dave Stoop would often tell people the 12 steps, they're two things. They're a discipleship program, and they're also a sanctification program. And there are other things that we've discovered that help in sanctification, helping us to become more like Jesus, and humbling ourselves and saying, I don't know how to do this, but somebody else can help me. Boy, that's huge. That kind of humble willingness is the beginning of what we call around here a whole new life. We'll take a break. We'll come back right after this.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Southern California February 11th to the 13th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yurkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group counselors will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You are a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, Steve Arterburn, and I love the fact that some are searching. Why and what and where and how does all this make sense? And oh, do I ever wish that it was a simple thing. But don't forget that amazing passage in Jeremiah where Jeremiah said, from the least to the greatest, their lives are ruled by greed. From prophets to priests, they're frauds. They offer superficial treatments for my people's mortal wound. They give assurances of peace when there is no peace. Are they ashamed of their disgusting actions? Not at all. They don't even know how to blush. Do you know that I see that lived out over and over again when somebody stands up and promises some instant, quick fix that doesn't fix anything? And I'm so sorry for folks that believe that person is representing God when instead they're representing their own agenda. Well, Larry Sonnenberg is here to talk with us. And Larry, I believe we have a wonderful testimony about our Restore workshop. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah, let's start with that, then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
My husband attending Every Man's Battle, and I myself attending the Restore conference definitely gave us each the tools and the motivation to keep our marriage, to save our marriage. I can say with all sincerity, without New Life, if I hadn't gone to the Restore conference, I probably wouldn't be with my husband now, but God is doing miracles in our lives, and I'm very, very thankful for this ministry. I encourage all women to go to the Restore workshop. It's a life changer, regardless of what happens in your marriage.
Wonderful.
Well, you know, she mentioned miracles, and sometimes we expect that miracle to be a snap of the fingers, and God's in the business of doing slow miracles as well. And if you go to the Restore and do some work, and the guys go to Every Man's Battle, same thing. Slow miracles begin. So this is the last day, ladies, for $200 off early bird sign up for this workshop, February 25th to 7th, right here in Orange County. I want you to get to more calls. I'd like to talk for about 10 minutes on this, but you need to come, you need to call. We hope you will.
A lot of times people who have been betrayed, you think, hey, that's not my problem, it's the other person's problem. Well, having been where you are, I got to tell you, we got two problems. Number one, we're hurting. We've been betrayed, and it just goes to the soul. The hurt is so painful. So we got that to deal with. And then now, thank you, we are needing to forgive. And that's painful. It's almost like we've got two problems, they've got one. And we didn't ask for these, but we got them. And the sooner we get on with healing, the better life is going to be. And we can help you so much in just a very short length of time. And I want to tell you this, there is such a healing moment when you sit in that first group. You've heard somebody talk, you sit in that first group, and you hear somebody else share their story, and it's just what you've been feeling. You feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. That's what happens at Restore. $200 discount if you call today. Please do call. You will not regret going to Restore. Anything else you want to say, Larry?
No, just want to thank our donors because we get to keep doing these because of you. And if you can give again or give for the first time, we'd appreciate it.
Amen. Thank you, Larry.
Okay.
All right. I believe we have time for one more caller, and I would sure love to be able to do that. So how about we go to David from Dallas. Is it Dallas, Georgia? That is really, I don't think I've ever heard of Dallas, Georgia. Is that the town, David?
Yes, sir. It's Dallas, Georgia is the town.
All right. Well, how can we help you today?
Well, I have been, this has been going on for about a year and a half. my wife has had a sexual affair with my son-in-law, in which my daughter found out earlier than I did, and she left him. And so I'm trying to make it short. But my son-in-law has got custody of my grandkids. My son-in-law is slightly mentally disabled, and so he lives in our home. And but
Oh, my
when
goodness.
I found out,
Why does he have custody and not your daughter? Why doesn't your daughter have custody?
that's because they were lying, and they didn't. No one knew that they were having an affair, but my daughter knew that they were having an affair. So when my daughter left, my wife and him made sure that he got custody, and so he has custody of the kids.
Okay, you better get to the question. You better get to the question here because we don't have a lot
Our
of time.
jaws are dropped right now,
Yeah.
David. Our jaws are dropped.
So what's the question for us? Let us help you.
Well, my grandkids live with me, and I tried to evict him, but he took my grandkids away, and they lived in a trailer, so in like a little camper. And so I agreed just to bring them back so they could have a decent home to live in. But I'm constantly having to deal with this daily, and sometimes I get angry. And before COVID, I was talking to my pastor about this, but now since COVID, I haven't been talking, and the pastor has retired. And so I feel like I'm a prisoner in my own home, and I don't want to be angry anymore. I just want to probably live life, but I don't want my grandkids to live in poverty.
All right. First of all, really, really painful situation you're in. Chris, Sheri, let's give him the best we've got in the shortest amount of time ever. I wanted to give him some ideas of what he could do. This is horrible.
It first off sounds to me like your wife and your son-in-law are very dangerous people right now. They can't see it, but they are not fit to be having custody of the kids. The adults have to get safe first, but the healthy adults, and that's you and your daughter. I would get as much help for your daughter as you possibly can. I hate this situation for you. I wish we had more time because we need more time. But you need to then circle the legal wagons, meaning you need to get really good legal advice and direction on what you can do to protect the children as you and your daughter get help for what has occurred to you, because you need to get protected as quickly and as strongly against the son-in-law and your wife.
And David, I'm going to jump in. We're going to send you a copy of my book, Intimate Deception, Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal, because you have been betrayed on so many levels. Your anger, underneath your anger, is hurt, fear, and sadness about what's happened to you. And I literally, when you were saying it, my jaw dropped, and I saw you on an emergency room gurney bleeding out. And on that gurney, while you're bleeding out, you're looking over at your grandkids that are in another room in the emergency room, and you're trying to save them while you're bleeding out. I'm so sorry your pastor, is no longer working, but I want you to get into a therapist. I want you to stay on the phone, and we're going to get you hooked up with one of our new life counselors, because you've got to heal, my friend.
Here's what I would love to see. I would love to see your daughter getting whatever help she needs, you getting good help and advice, and you and your daughter at the right time, you go to court and you get custody. The two of you get custody together because you've documented the unhealthy stuff that's going on. And then those grandkids have a chance. I am so sorry.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.